Hey everyone, it's Rista. I just wanted to make a quick video to show this new strat we've been working on for Brainpans. Finally managed to record a VOD of most of the strat going pretty well, so I just want to do a little bit of audio commentary to talk about what's actually going on. So the first thing you want to do that's different is reflect both Ash and Redas. It's possible to do this with Vaughn, but I found it easier and not really slower to just have Ash do both of them. Now for this first two Brainpans, it's a little bit interesting. You have to spawn both of them with Ash and then move out of range quickly. You want to move Ash away from Redas so that any area of effect that hits Redas will not hit Ash. But then once that animation starts, you have to move Ash back into range of Redas in order to get her animation, her area of effect to reflect off of him. So that one's a little bit tricky and takes some practice, but it's probably the hardest part of the entire thing to get used to. So after that, you're going to be doing pretty much the same thing for most of the Brainpans. This took a while to figure out how to do correctly, but the basic idea is you want to start charging a Firaga around the time the Brainpan spawns, which is 10 units away in game. Now, Reflect will only reflect from 10 units away, so you have to make sure everyone is within 10 units of the Brainpan. So the visual cue you're looking for is making sure that Vaughn is past the point where Ash was when she triggered the spawning of the Brainpan. Now once you've done that, you have to keep in mind that Ash's area of effect on herself only has a range of 6, which means everyone has to be within 6 of her. So all 3 people have to be within 10 units of the Brainpan, and everyone has to be within 6 units of Ash. So that's the basic geometry. Now the little wrinkle that it took a while to figure out here is that you generally want to try and flee away from the Brainpans once the Firaga is about 2/3 of the way charged. The reason for this is that it stops Redas from running up to the Brainpan, which prevents the Brainpan from doing its most dangerous attacks, which are Eerie Soundwave and I don't know what it is in English actually, but like Sonic something. But it's the one where it spins around. Those two are done on enemy, or done on your party when the characters are nearby. So Redas runs up, tries to attack, and then triggers it. So you're gonna flee away. Now one important thing I'll mention here is this timing on Ash is very tight. On Redas it's not very tight, so I just have Vaughn reflect, but you want to have Ash just outside of the range of this Brainpan when she reflects herself, and then continue. Turn on your gambit, move in, make sure everyone's in range, flee. Once you get the hang of that, it's pretty straightforward from there. Just flee between Brainpans, and it's pretty much the same thing every time. But this reflect timing here is actually very tight. I'm just showing it sort of the fastest way. If it's too tight for you, or if you want to do something different, it's not too hard to just do that reflect a little bit sooner, and then re-reflect it between the two Brainpans when I would do it after both of them, as you'll see shortly. But again, you just do the same thing over and over again. One thing you have to keep in mind when managing your gambit is that I generally try and keep the gambit on between sequences of Brainpans, but I try to turn it off anytime I'm going to immobilize warp. So part of the warp to Penelo, so I turn it off here, but now I'm going to turn it back on, and now I'm going to show something which is a little bit different, which is move everyone in rain and then have Vaughn summon. This is an alternative to fleeing, and it's actually a little bit safer, but it's a little bit slower. However, it's not slower when you're just standing around like this. So it's a bit difficult because you have to flee to cancel Belias, but it's good to do because when you aren't sure about the Brainpan, when you aren't sure about being able to keep Redas from running up to the Brainpan, fleeing is the reliable way to stop the Brainpan from doing its most dangerous attacks. Basically stopping Redas from running up, because Redas can't move when you're trying to summon. Now, when crossing that bridge, I have Vaughn cast a Reflect there on Redas. That timing is not super tight, but you do want it to wear off, so I try and cast it as fast as possible. Now coming up is going to be the ending of the timing I mentioned before with Ash. So Penelo's going to immobilize. She's actually going to immobilize herself 3 times on this screen, so we'll see that soon. But now you run up, move everyone in range, flee, same trick, and then run up. Now if you watch, Ash's Reflect wore off right then. So you can see that I only had about maybe 2 seconds of margin there for killing that last Brainpan. So if that timing is too tight for you, what you can do is just reflect sooner and then reflect again between those two Brainpans, which is a little bit slower because you're just standing there. But anyway, I move to that little corner. That corner is how far you have to go to make sure this guy spawns, and then just go up the stairs and take care of this guy. For the death strat, we do these in the opposite order. The path is a little bit faster, but Renas likes to run up to the chimeras, so doing this is a reliable way of stopping him from running up to the chimeras. So I just do it this way as it's more reliable. I've done this many times, and having something that can mess up is very frustrating, because, you know, I'm 5.5 minutes in, that's 5.5 minutes wasted if I'm trying to record a VOD. So that reflect we had earlier, Vaughn's going to renew it now, and now here's a really clever positional trick, which is you can run directly up to this corner and then back around this entrance, and it only spawns one brain pan, which you can hit with reflected spells. As long as Ash has at least 54 magic, this is guaranteed. Now you can just wait and then spawn this guy. Again, it's only 10 units away to the point. So when you're running across this bridge, that's when Penelo's immobilized wears off. So I do a reflect here, re-immobilize Penelo, and then warp back. That reflect is just to put you on time magic, and it doesn't waste any MP. It's just the way that I found that's simplest to do this. So carrying on, now we're on the 10 bridge, so we have to kill 10 brain pans to spawn this bridge. One of the brain pans we just killed was one of them, so we have one. And so I'm going to take care of 3 around this area, so same idea. Stick to the wall here to stop Radas from spawning that one, and then spawn this one. I like to do these in this order, where with death we do it in the other order. I will explain the reasoning for that shortly. But first, we come up here and take care of this one. You'll notice, if you know our strat, that the brain pan on the left does not spawn this way. I actually don't want it to, because it's pretty difficult. Anytime that Radas runs up to trigger one brain pan and spawns the other one, it's very difficult to deal with, like the first two, and some more coming up. So now you can reflect, and reflect Ash first and then Radas, and then you're ready to go. I'm doing another Belias one here just because I'm already so close to it. Just keep Radas away. Now this corner right here, you have to be beyond that corner in order to respawn this brain pan, which we skipped earlier. And then this corner right there to the left, that's about 10 units away. So it's a little bit more than 10 units. So that's sort of the visual cue you have to get used to for knowing how far away to be to do these things. Now Penelo's immobilize is about to wear off, so right at this corner, I do another one of these immobilize warps to refresh the immobilize. I do it at that corner, because if you're too close, this brain pan will get despawned by your warp. So I do it at that corner. Now another here. And so we've taken care of 3 at first, and then 2 more, and now this is 6 plus... so 6 plus 1 more from 4, so 7. So we have these 3 left. Now these are the ones that have respawned. Now the amount of time it takes us to kill the other ones gave us the time for these guys to respawn. We can just take care of these 3 again, and that'll be the end of these 10. That's the dangerous attack. I let Radas get too close there. And then finally this guy. This guy is not actually super dangerous. It seems like you really can't. It takes him longer to target you when you're down the stairs. But anyway, that's the 10 bridge taken care of. Now coming up, it's really awkward to try and take care of these next 2 brain pans with Firaga. First of all, because Radas likes to spawn both of them. Second of all, because the reflect timing on the party is kind of weird to deal with. Like, I guess you could have Vaughn refresh it there, and then Ash might last. But what I've just been doing is just have Ash do a warp / D zone. It's not guaranteed. It's like 94% here, but you know, 94%, and you can redo it if you fail as long as Radas is still alive, because the brain pans will tend to target him. And you may notice I've been standing here for a few extra seconds. I didn't realize that. I thought I was clogged, not that I was too far away. So this is actually pretty slow. Probably could have been, I'm guessing, 4 or 5 seconds faster, but this has been my best attempt, so I just wanted to get it out there and show what I have at this point. Anyway, moving on here, on the Japanese version, I feel safe running with Ash here. Ash is pretty much never going to get hit, but if you're running on the North American version, I think it's probably worth putting the battle speed down at lowest, or maybe even running with Vaughn. If Ash dies, it's actually not that bad, because you can Phoenix down and set back up, and it only costs a few seconds. Might even be less than the time it takes to change the battle speed twice. But yeah, that's just like a personal choice. Whatever you think, whatever you're more comfortable with. And then finally, I like to... I probably should flee here. This is my first time making it this far at this pace, so I made a mistake, but just get this guy and run along. Now, this last warp is, of course, not 100%, so you're running away, and there's a good chance Ash gets hit, and you know she got hit here. There's one more brain pan before the exit, which you can despawn everything else on the way, and then warp that guy. And it's a little bit slower because you have to watch another warp, and you have to wait for the bridge to spawn, but that would be the backup in case you get unlucky there. But anyway, yeah, that pretty much takes care of the whole Brainpan strat. Just as a point of reference, it takes about 9 minutes and 45 seconds by the timing here. 9 minutes 45 to 9 minutes and 50 seconds for a basically perfect Brainpan with the current death strat. And the difference is, you know, between this and that is about a minute, and it's probably gonna be a little bit more with poor execution, as it's not gonna be perfect every time. But that's about how much time it takes to set up for death. So I think this is pretty feasible. So yeah, that's it. Any questions? Feel free to comment or come to the Discord. See you later.